Hello there, welcome to High Class. My name is Leshan, and in this video, we are going to look at an example of an excerpt. Because in the previous video, I explained to you the elements of an excerpt, the kind of questions that you can expect in an excerpt, and I told you that we'll do a sample, one from Fathers of Nation to cater for the Form 4, and one from the Samaritan to cater for the Form 3. Okay, so here is one for the Form 4s. I'm going to read, then we see the questions that may arise. Read the excerpt below and answer the questions that follow. And young they'll still be the day I die, Mr. Walomu added. Karanja, you don't know the saying, a real bull dies with green grass in its mouth. Then why do you want to steal my wife? She's old, not the green grass you want in your mouth. I just told you why. All is gold. Anyway, stealing, to use your word, is not all uncommon, you know. My Texas guy says that 30% of British steal married spouses from their partners. Repeat, 30%. That is a lot of spouse stealers, wouldn't you say? Professor Kimani refused to bite the man's bait. Still, the man continued. Now take the Americans. Contrary to what everyone thinks, Karanja, Americans are not great spouse stealers at all. They check in at a mere 17%, way behind the British. In fact, to cut the long story short, only the Greeks are great spouse stealers than the British. Boy, do the Greeks know this spouse stealing business. They come at a whole 40%. The man was now toying with Poshwakimani. Unable to tolerate it anymore, Professor Kimani moved close to end it. You greedy fat baboon, he shouted, closing in. The man stood up. Stop where you are, Karanja, he said. Professor Kimani kept coming. When he was near enough, he swung a fist. He missed. First, you steal my wife, he said. He swung another. He missed again. Now you mock me as well. He swung yet another. This time, he lost his balance and fell. Mr. Walumu pounced at once. Now you die, Karanja. A clumsy scuffle as between elephants followed. It ended only when the police came and arrested the two angry men. Now here are the questions. Question number one, it asks, which events lead into what happens in this excerpt? Remember what we talked about? The first question most of the time usually asks about the context, and it usually into two, so that we have the immediate, immediate, that is before, and immediate, that is after. This one is 2 marks, this one is 2 marks. Okay, so let us try to answer this. Don't ask for which events are led into what happens. That means they want before only. It is 2 marks. They only want before. I said that this question can be split into two, so that it can be a combined one, so that you give both, or can be this only, then later you have this one. So based on this is a chapter 3, and the scene was so your answer should you should read immediately before this excerpt. Okay, Asia tells Professor Kimani that she's going to leave. So she left Professor Kimani for Mr. Walomu. Okay, and now Professor Kimani goes to the office to confront Mr. Walomu. In fact, when at the entrance, the secretary tries to prevent Professor Kimani from accessing the office. But finally, he manages. And now he meets Walomu, and they enter into a confrontation regarding why regarding why Walomu wanted to steal the wife of Professor Kimani. You see what I've explained? I've started with what happened before this exam. Nimeanzia nyuma, and I've come slowly up to where the exam now starts, because it starts from and young they'll still be the day I die. So they're already in the confrontation. So the events that lead to this is what, as Asia had left Professor Kimani. That is after the death of their daughter, and now Professor Kimani decided to go and confront Mr. Walomo in his office. The secretary at the office tries to restrict and prevent Professor Kimani from entering the office, but finally he manages after some struggles. And now while in the office, he tries to confront Mr. Walomo, asking why he stole his wife. And now the excerpt starts from there. That is what happened before the excerpt. Okay, that's how we do it. Number two, describe the character of Professor Kimani and newborn Walomu as revealed in this excerpt. character trait. Remember what we talked about in the other place? We said another question will be asking you about what? Character trait. Now about character trait, this is what happens, okay? If you want to, character trait is basically the attributes of someone, how someone behaves, the personality of someone, and how they react to situations. That gives us the character trait of that person. And as we said earlier, if you want to identify the character trait of a person, this is what you do. Look at what they say. That is one. Number two, look at what others say about them. Okay, what other people say about that character. And lastly, the behavior of the character. If you want to find the character trait of a character in the story, you look at what the person says. For instance, if I say, I am kind, definitely I am kind. That is my trait. The trait is kind. Number two, if someone says, Leshan is kind, definitely one trait of Leshan is kind. Then lastly, how I behave. From my behavior in different situations, how I relate to other characters, you can be able to find my character trait. Take note that we usually describe character trait using adjectives. Must remember that. Don't use nouns, don't use any other words, adverb. No, we describe the character trait because adjectives are descriptive words. Okay, so we use adjective to describe character traits. For our case, describe the character trait of Professor Kimani and another for newborn Walomo. For instance, look at how Professor Kimani behaves, or what he says, or what the other character says about that character. So we can say from what the example, we can say that number one, Professor Kimani is abusive. Okay, Professor Kimani is abusive. What is the evidence? You go and pick the line, or he says, you fat baboon. He called Walomo, you fat baboon. Yeah, it is. You greedy fat baboon. Just like that. You write, Professor Kimani is abusive. You can put a hyphen or a full colon or a semicolon. Then you take the line and you put it there. We say you cannot give an answer without an evidence. You'll score a 0 or a half a mark. And the goal is to score the full mark. So we must give an answer and evidence. So Professor Karanja is abusive. Okay. Evidence, you say, you greedy fat baboon. Or he calls Walomo greedy fat baboon. You score your full 2 marks. You can get another trait. You can say he's temperamental or short-tempered. Temperamental or short-tempered. Evidence, he charges towards Kimani, say towards Walomo. Here's the evidence. Unable to tolerate it anymore. That can be number one. You say Professor Kimani is unable to tolerate it anymore when he's confronting Walomo. Okay. Then you can also say that he moved to end it. Professor Kimani moved to end it. So that means shows that he was furious and he was angry with Walomo. So the trait here becomes Professor Kimani is, you can say temperamental, or that is okay. You can say that we have already said abusive. Okay. You can also say this one is short-tempered. Now, for newborn Walomo, of course, Kimani has said, you greedy fat baboon. So, of course, one of the traits could be Walomo is greedy. What is the evidence? Evidence is that despite having other wives, he still wants another wife. He still wants Asia, the wife of Professor Kimani. That person is greedy. Okay, greedy. And you can also say that this one is immoral. Some people can say immoral because it's not right to take someone's wife. It's not a good thing. Huh? It's not a good thing to take someone's wife. So he takes Professor Kimani's wife. Yet he has his own wives. Okay. So that's about character trait. Just think about that. Just think about these 3 things. What does the person say? From there you can get a trait. Number 2, what do the others say about that character? Lastly, how the character